I'm back. Got that. Hey. Click it and subscribe. This video is going to be about my previous work experience and my personal thoughts, and just pros and cons about myself, just how I view myself, some of my beliefs and things I like. Start with my education, I guess. I repeat the first grade reading problems. I went all the way up through 4th grade in Waxahachie. 5th grade I moved to New Hampshire. Did 1 year in New Hampshire, 5th grade. Moved to Glen Heights, moved to Oso Grande whenever I was in the 6th grade, and went to Amber Terrace, which is funny because I always call it terrace. Like, is a terrace like a balcony, or is a terrace like terrorism? Anyways, went to Amber Terrace in DeSoto. I finished my 6th grade. My last 2 months of 6th grade, we moved to Red Oak, and it was really nonsense of moving the last 2 months, but moved the last 2 months, you know, because Dad's eviction and stuff like that. He had problems. So we moved to Red Oak. He got a rent house in Red Oak. We did 6th grade, 7th grade in Red Oak, and then Star Trek came on, and then 8th grade, I started in Red Oak in 8th grade, and I went to Waxahachie. Problems with my mom, my dad. Moved with my aunt. Started 8th grade in Red Oak. Moved to Waxahachie, back to Waxahachie 8th grade. So 4th grade, jumped into 8th grade. And then moved back to Red Oak for the start of the freshman year, and then halfway through I moved back to Waxahachie. We moved to Glen Heights again, but instead of switching schools, my dad just took me to school, and then we moved into Cathy Street, outside of Waxahachie by the Greenery, out by 55, down 77, down the good old Ferris 77. Anyways, finished the 9th grade in Waxahachie. I finished 9th grade in Waxahachie. I started 10th grade in Red Oak, went halfway through the year, moved in with my cousin Dennis in the middle of 10th grade, and that's how my chemistry and physics got mixed up, because they do the chemistry first and then the physics, and then in Waxahachie they do the physics then chemistry. So I didn't get very much in physics, which is a downside, because now whenever I start questioning things or looking towards science for things, physics comes up a lot, and one can only think, you know, where that comes from. And so I finished school in Waxahachie. I did the half of 10th, I did 11th, and then 12th, graduated from Waxahachie High School, finished where I started. I started all the way in pre-K on Marvin. Went through Marvin, kindergarten. When I was in kindergarten, I said when I grew up, I want to be a scientist. Don't know what kind of scientist. I still don't know if I want to be a scientist, but it's a very interesting thing. I thought about furthering my education, maybe into environmental science, which is interesting because there's a lot of wide job opportunities, and just it seems like a real environmental thing, that's just the best thing that you could have is something environmental. Be in a good environment with good environmentals. Works. And then they actually got a course at the Navarro, so I thought about looking into it. But first I thought about becoming a cop, then I thought about business management, then I thought accounting, then I was thinking back about a cop. Didn't go through none of the applications when I first started my first job at Abacus. Didn't go through none of them. Got money from the government to go. Didn't do nothing with it. Just left it just at the school. Never finished registration. The reason why I never became a cop was because I was working at Abacus and I was on night shift. And their program at the time, back in 2012, 2013, they only had a night course, or a day course, but it went into the night. And the temp service I worked for, they said, well, they didn't say, but the company I worked for, they said that they couldn't do part-time. And so I decided to go on my working career of what was, providing, because people of poverty, when they're raised in poverty and they come out of, on their own, they learn, put your best foot forward and keep on going. Take what you know is a guarantee instead of what's a gamble. It's just conditioning, I guess. So I did 2.5 years at Abacus. Abacus was a temp service. It's gone out of business now. But the human resource for Live Foam, which was the company that I worked for through Abacus, he actually used to own the Abacus temp service, or he used to own a temp service, which I'm pretty sure I've seen him come in, and I'm pretty sure he's the same guy. I'm pretty sure that's the one he was talking about. But I did 2.5 years there, met some good people. I learned a lot about labor and labor and unions and workers' rights, and it was really eye-opening, because back in 2013 I was only making $7.50 an hour, and I worked from 3 to 11:45. And so back in those days, that was a lot to me, making $10 an hour, which is interesting. I'll come back to that later. But I went to U.S. Aluminum, got hired on. So I was with the temp service, and I was like, these people hired me straight on, like full time. Good money. I was making only $9.25 an hour, so I went from $7.50 to $9.25 an hour. That's a huge raise. I did one day. I took a Friday off from the temp service, and I went to U.S. Aluminum. But I think they have some people involved that they just kind of knew that I was done with the Abacus because of personal reasons. Personal reasons with personal beliefs about other employees and what happened. I don't want to make it about that though. But we're all educated, and we're all, pretty much eyewitnesses of what goes on. I went to U.S. Aluminum, $9.50 an hour. 3 months later, made $13.28 an hour. So, from $7.50 to $13.28 an hour, I did a good choice on choosing U.S. Aluminum. I did that for a year. So I was at Abacus for a year and a half. I'm at U.S. Aluminum for a year. And then at U.S. Aluminum, I had a job opportunity to go back to Live Foam, but instead of through the temp service, I was going through the actual company itself. And so I chose to go back, and it was kind of like the human resource lady at the time, she was moving on, and so I'm like, oh, she's moving on. You're supposed to be hiring me, but you're moving on. So I was like, really, like, is she just joking with me right now? But she got me on. And she didn't actually finish getting me hired on all the way. The person in the company after she left actually finished hiring me on, but it went through the whole hiring process, and Um, from what I can tell, we was all, all on the same page. Like, yeah, good to work here. And I liked my job. It was a pay. I made $14.28 an hour because I told them that I wasn't going back for the money, but I said that U.S. Aluminum had good health insurance. They had Aetna Healthcare at no deductible, and no premium. They paid for it. And so I'm like, Aetna health insurance, $20 doctor visits and just no deductibles. Like, you gotta at least match the benefits that I was getting with a 401k opportunity and all that. And because U.S. Aluminum had 401k and all that, which came out to be a good thing because even, what was it, 7 years? I put $300 and in 7 years I got $1,000 out of it. But then after all the, early charges and then not working for the company, I had to pay for the company's taxes off the profit that they got off of it. And so I only come out with $500. So I made a $200 profit off 401k, which ain't bad, I guess. But at Life Home I was making $14.25. I had health insurance, but the health insurance they was offering was, I took the silver plan, which at the time I only took health insurance because Obamacare made it a requirement of law, which that's another story for another day of my beliefs of that. But I took a Blue Cross Blue Shield's silver plan, and it was like a $5,000 deductible, and I'm like, who's gonna pay a $5,000 deductible? Like, that's not affordable at all. But and then it's like $40 a month already, so you're paying 50. So they had to match benefits, and so it was I wound up making $14.25 an hour. The video cut off, so it's kind of hard for me to pick up back where I was. I was talking to myself for about 5-10 minutes, just on in my own life. But anyways, so I was at Life Home Jordan the second time, making the $14.25. And I was at Burger King. I was making $8.25 an hour. I went there for 6 months. I was at Taco Bell. I was at Plaza Don for a year, and then they trade hands of ownerships to Kumar. I was there for 2 years, all within the same time frame. I didn't get fired or nothing like that. It was just that they just sold. A lot of Taco Bells was selling. Even the main corporate was selling a lot of their buildings that they own. I don't think Taco Bell has any actual corporate Taco Bells except for the one in California. And I left Life Home. Let me back up. I left Life Home because I came out the closet. Big mistake. I've had personal problems, like people was, the easiest way to say is like somebody was creeping on you. Whenever you get that 90 degrees and somebody's just like staring at you, and you just have that thought, like somebody's staring at you, and you look over and they're looking at you. So it's like I had a lot of that going on, and so I made a personal choice to come out. And then I felt like it wasn't that that was relieving. It was really relieving. It was really life-changing, but it was still stressful for me because I still felt like people was observing me or just creeping on me. I don't know, just people surrounding around every time you go out to the store or something like that. And so I'm like, at first maybe I thought it's because I was closeted, because it's over obviousness that I was, and then it was like, no, but then it was a personal choice to leave. So I left Waxahachie, I left Life Home. I didn't put no 2 weeks in, I didn't put no notice of quitting. I left on a Friday. I made my decision in the middle of life like it was the middle of the workday, so it almost seems like my job was the final straw that made me leave, but personally that wasn't what it was at all. It was just one of those things that I just go through my head day in and day in and day in for like weeks, months, and just finally made the decision, like, today's a Friday, today's my last day, I'm moving to Houston. And my biggest mistake, I moved down to Houston. I had a job at Burger King. I went maybe a month without a job, and so no, a month and a half, like, yeah, a month and a half without a job. And so my screen cut out. And so whenever my job opportunity for Burger King came up, they was hiring smiling faces, and so I was like, I always told myself in high school I was never going to take a fast food job. I never wanted anything to do with food. Mindsets, right? Just personal choices. I was a little bit on the hefty side, and so I worked real hard. I got out of school, I worked real hard, lost a lot of weight, and so I felt really confident in myself that I was like, just whenever I started working, fast food never crossed my mind. And so I was like, just nope. And so now I'm like, you know, okay, I'll go get a job at Burger King. I got to provide something to people of some equitable value, because how are you ever going to be independent if you don't? And so I already said this like 10-15 minutes ago, but I was talking to myself. And so now it's kind of like, gotta do it all over again. But I had my car. I had my black Silverado. I say Suburban every time. It's Silverado, and my 90s, my classic 1990 Silverado. It was black on the outside, not a single dent. It was maroon on the inside. It had cold AC. It had a CD player, and it had not a single dent on the dash. And none of my cars have ever had cruise control, but that's not a real thing. But you know, I was coming back from Houston one time, or coming back from Waxahachie to Houston, because of was it? No, that happened before my dad died. But had dinner cooking, had to go get it. My transmission went out in it, and I sold it for $700. But I have thoughts about it, but I have multiple thoughts about how it was sold, why it was sold, when did it sell, who bought it, I don't even know. And so I'm like, biggest regret of my life, the biggest regret of my life, because I had enough money to buy a brand new transmission to put in it, and I get these wild thoughts like, I'm already paranoid that people's creeping on me, so I'm like, maybe it is just time for me to get a new car, because, you know, maybe everybody's just staring at my classic, you know, like, no, but maybe, you know, maybe a new car would help with my thought processes. And so I sell my truck, and I spend $3,000 on my 94 S10, which to me was a lemon, but it was during who was supposed to know that a hurricane would come to Houston and flood out all of Houston? there'd be so many, you know, demands of cars at the time, so much of a demand of cars, and something in the kitchen just beeping away, but and so I paid for an overpriced lemon, and so I paid for an overpriced lemon, and I wound up selling it for $500 to my sister, but 300, 500, something like that. But it was a real lemon. And so after that, I really regretted. I had an opportunity to buy a yellow Mitsubishi, dark tinted windows, cold AC, good gas mileage, I suppose. But when I talked to First Moses, he said, you know, he's the one that Moses was the one that showed me the vehicle, and then after he told me he could sell it for $3,000, and he was like, "That's gonna be the final price," because I said I ain't got no more money. All I got is $3,000. You know, you never tell him how much money you got, but I did have a job and stuff like that, and so he said I came back later, maybe a week later, and Moses is out in the parking lot, and I was like, "Hey Moses, you know, you selling that yellow Mitsubishi for $3,000?" And he said, "Oh yeah." He's like, "You know, I came last week." He's like, "Oh yeah. Go talk to Moses in the office." And I'm like, "Moses in the office? Hold on." And I'm like, "The hell out of here." So when I talked to Moses in the office, he was trying to tell me about the tax, title, and license, and I'm like, okay, first of all, you know, tax, title, license only like $250 at the most, and he's trying to charge me $500, and he's like, I can set up a payment plan, and I'm like, no, because Moses outside told me $3,000, and Moses inside trying to tell me $3,500, and Michael ain't trying to pay a payment plan for something that's coming through a business. Just because it comes through a business doesn't make it ethical, and like a guarantee, like there's no. I went back there a month later and they had like maybe 2 cars in the parking lot, so I'm like, and then he tells me, and then Moses tells me that good luck on finding a car with a good title, and that lemon that I had, a title was part of the problem. So it's one of those things of, you know, Cosmos Kramers, like they're all connected somehow, all these people, you know. And so I moved out of Houston because I was riding down the highway, my S10 got running around the city, and guy hanging out the window, just, "I like your rims, man." And I mean, yeah, there's some SS rims, but I mean, they're classics too. Like, that was a real classic. And never have I really wanted an S10. That's somebody else's dream car. And so I went from my jobs to my cars. But long story short, I regret selling my Silverado. I wound up with an S10, sold my S10 while I was at Taco Bell. While I was at Taco Bell, I got my Suburban, which is not my dream car either. It's somebody else's dream car. And so I got a Suburban, and so now all I'm wanting is my black Silverado back, but that's never coming back because I'm so paranoid about the thought process. I was like, even if I knew it sat in a parking lot for, was it now 5 years? If it sat in a parking lot for 5 years and I could still get it back, I want it back just for the thought process of somebody else having it for that long of a time. And just like Moses, you know. And so now I was at Taco Bell. I still have my Suburban. My Suburban runs. It's had some problems. I went through homelessness and it had some problems. So it's rocking. It's making it there. I made it through Taco Casa. I went from Taco Bell, Plaza Don, and Kumar for 3 years. I went to Taco Casa, back to the jobs. I went to Taco Casa for 2 months. Tacos are tacos. If you left because, I left Taco Bell for Plaza Don, or not Plaza Don, PDQ. PDQ told me that they could give me a job at Lifephone because I just wanted to go back to the odometer. All I wanted to do was go back to a machine that had an odometer. And if you had a crooked mechanic, this is how crazy I am right now. If you had a crooked mechanic that was trying to roll back the odometer on that used car, you would know. You, like, as God is our witness and the people around us, somebody would come to a realization, like, they've been saying no production's been getting out, but production's been getting out, or you didn't get that production out, somebody else got that production out. So that's why it was a real, personal choice to want to go back to the machine, to where I worked with myself. I got an odometer, so I know the workload's always going to be watched, and it's never going to be overworked or underworked, or it's always going to be a almost socialism setting, to where the work is evened out between the people at the business, and so nobody's having to work harder than another person, or vice versa. Or I just wanted to go back to the machine, and so no customers, no management, no supervisor needed, just me and the machine. Me and the machine's going every minute, like I'm just doing the same thing. All I wanted. But so I left Taco Bell. They gave me the job, and I left Taco Bell, and I'm like, okay. And so she tells me, because I work there, that they can't give me. And I told the lady, I said, hey, I said, I got my steel-toe shoes. I actually got it from that company. I still got the same steel-toe shoes from 3 years ago. Or 4 years ago, yeah. 4 years ago. 3 years, 4 years. I said, I still got my Red Wing shoes, and they got the aluminum toe, and they're still looking as good as they did when I left. And she's like, oh, you worked there before? Okay, good. That's good. So you know how it works out there. Okay, good. And then evidently they sent my name over, and why didn't he use up his 2 weeks? And a lot of people tell you, like, there's a lot of immorals and stuff like that, like bad influences. That's like people you surround yourself with. Like, well, why didn't you just put in your 2 weeks and then quit after you took your 2 weeks of vacation? And I'm like, because that's just, you don't treat people that way. Like, that's just, why would I even have to explain it to you viewers? I mean, y'all should know. You just don't do that to people, especially in such a small community. Never burn a bridge. Anyways, got some hatred out of that one, I bet. Then I went to Taco Casa because I said, in an environment that has become to where I just don't even want to go back to, why would I accept that I got a job, was supposed to go to an orientation, and then go back to Taco Bell? And I was like, and at the time, it was such a transition, because they was going to give me a 10-cent raise. And I said, a 10-cent raise? I'm making $9.25 an hour. You're going to give me a 10-cent raise? And so for a 10-cent raise, I'm like, I'm not going to, put up with this. And then to go be a trainer for them for 50 cents after 9% rate, or after a 9% increase of property tax, so cost of living just went up by 9%. I'm not one of those believers that believe in 110%. I believe as a whole, the economy only has 100% output. So the value of your money is only compared to 100% of the economy. There is no 110%. No matter how many inspirational things you go through to say, you can make more. There's more out there, and there's more everywhere. And so I left Taco Bell. I don't really know where I left off on the video, because memory card got full. Dinner, memory card full. I'm just ranting, as they say. I just really want an in-depth of what's going on. So, Plazadon, Kumar, 3 years, left Kumar. Had a job through the PDQ. Didn't work out, so I went to Taco Casa. I hope we got the PDQ stuff in there. I mean, that's real important to say. I mean, for perspectiveness of one's mindset and how they're still, you know, my dear, how do you wake up every day? How do you still do it? You know, a normal life, everybody's problems. Everybody's got those problems, you know. Then I went to Taco Casa for about 2 months. Tacos are tacos, business is business. COVID happened and they shut down the lobby, and the store still had the same exact amount of sales as when you combine the lobby and the drive-thru, but instead of getting the cashier off the lobby, since we have the same sales and the same work output, I was thinking maybe they could rotate out at the register and at the speaker, and you know, can you get the next one? I mean, you know, I don't want to sound like it's all about that, but you know, the same work, and you can't just put that all on one person and just. So that tacos is tacos. I mean, even if the worker chose to work slow and be like, you know what, you ain't gonna work me like this, I'm gonna work slow and we'll get this out to the end of the shift. And so even if the worker tries to compensate for the workload and try to keep it at the same workload, it's not gonna happen. Just, you know, one, it's unethical because it's a job, but then at the same time, you know, like, you gotta do the job. That's the job. So 2 months, tacos are tacos, COVID is COVID. I said, I can't do this no more. I said, I had it at the Taco Bell, I had it at the Taco Casa. I said, I can't do this no more. I got to go. And so, you know, my Suburban's rocking around. I got me a bicycle with my stimulus check. I got a 3-wheeled bicycle with an electric motor. One, because that's what I was, you know, hobbying at the time. And second, my Suburban was about to break down, and the expenses would have been greater than what I spent on the bicycle. And I just, at the time, I was like, you know, I'm gonna stay at Taco Casa. Things will change. Things will change. And then COVID happened, and it was just like, you know, later. So I chose an electric bicycle instead of a gas bicycle because I was like, I'll probably be on the night shift. At least Taco Bell was the day shift. I said I bought electric not because of the politics or the environment. Even if I wanted to go to environmental science, I didn't buy it for the environment. I bought it because of the silence. You could just, no one would, you know, wake up at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock at night. 11 o'clock at night, you know, you'd be, and so I was like, gave it to my nieces and nephews, and they have fun with it, they say. And they're really going to have fun with it now because they got, you know, a better place for it. Pass it on, right? Somebody tried telling me to sell it, and I'm like, pass it on to somebody that's really going to enjoy it. Who knows, I might need it back one day. Then Taco Casa happened, and I had a interview at Home Depot, which they went with a plumber, and I can't blame them for going with a plumber for the position. And then I had a job opportunity. This was back in 2020. Back in 2020, I had a job interview at Home Depot. It didn't go through. I had a job interview opportunity, drug test, and job all at the Cardinal. And they said 12-hour rotating shifts, and they was like 12 on, 12 off, 12 on, 12 off. You do that for 3 days. You get 2 days off. You go back for 2 days. You get 1 day off. And you go back for 3 days. And I was like, 1 week is going to be days, 1 week's going to be nights. And I'm like, Michael got spoiled on the day shift. Michael got real spoiled on the day shift. I mean, we didn't have no 6 to 2 schedules, but Michael had the day shift for the most part. I mean, 11-hour days, but it was days. Work nights at Lifoam. I worked the second shift. At US Aluminum was the midnight shift, was from 10 to 7. And no, night shift ain't for me. I'm a non-overtime worker, not a night worker, not a night owl, and I'm sure as hell not a lunatic, if you know what that means. But from Taco Casa, I went homeless, and not that I didn't have a job opportunity. I had Cardinal to go to, but if I accepted it, I almost felt like I wasn't accepting the terms that I wanted. And so it was almost like communism, and Michael supports freedom. Michael doesn't support communism. And I understand that we're all cap social communists, but that's a political view for a different day. Right? Follow along, you know? Follow along. Different day. I got a job at American Wire Tie, which the only reason why I worked there was because family. Family's what got me there. I went homeless. I had a cousin. I had 2 cousins. I had my sister, and I had another cousin, a second cousin, that I could have all, you know, couch bummed with and been like, let me park in your driveway, but I was like, Michael supports freedom and independence. A tale of a Shia fire one, I guess, I don't know. But, so, different day for a thought of mine. I left American Wire Tie because I went crazy again. I went crazy at not the level of people following me, but people's, you know, when they asked Bush what the hardest thing about being president was, and he was like, the rhetoric. I got a dog, and all of a sudden I started, you know, somebody whistling for a dog that wasn't even there, and I'm like, is it daytime or is it nighttime? I'm confused, you know. So, you know, just little things like that just really got to me, and I'm like, so I left American Wire Tie, which was a good schedule, 7 to 3. And then it was a machine. It was odometer, you know. And Chris Jones worked there. Shout out to Chris Jones. I don't even know. But here at the Diversity, I thought it was a joke. I really thought it was a joke. I don't want to say nothing bad about those people because they gave me a job. And they're good people. But Chris Jones told me his job before he worked there. And that was the job opportunity after I left the Vistaprint. And so I was like, but after American Wire Tie, I did not have a job when I quit. I just quit. And I said, you know what? That parking lot ain't so bad. Car homelessness wasn't so bad. Maybe Michael can, you know, max out sidewalk homelessness. Maybe sidewalk homelessness won't be so bad. Another day though, another day. Vista Mart was a window company, which is pretty good. They got a new building. It was an old scary building, and then they moved, and it was a polished diamond. It was real nice looking. And so I was like, gotta watch the timer because the time's about to go off. The video is about to. But I left there because my car battery. I woke up one morning and my car battery died, and I was just like 2 hours. I was like 2 hours late, and so I was like, I ain't having it, you know. And then the next day, the same thing happened again. And the day before that, I made sure my battery was fine on the car. Went home, started up, went home. It was perfect. It was fine. And so then the very next day, before my battery even died on the car, I just woke up and I said, I can't do this job no more. I can't work here no more. And so I called 5 minutes into the shift because my car battery died. I really was gonna give it another month just for the money, for the income of paying off the rental agreement to this place, because Michael wants, you know, good bridges. We want to be able to cross that road when we get to it. And we tried for an apartment at Bridgepoint, and I was denied because my credit score was too low. So you don't want to burn, you know, one of the cheapest apartments in Waxahachie. Not to say it's the cheapest, but you know, one of the. So Vistaprint. I call it Vistaprint because I had a job opportunity at Office Depot before Vistamart, and experience, you know, like, so I thought it was a joke, you know, black and white, printed out. Vistaprint, Vistamart, Vistaprint. After 30 minutes of trying to get my car to start, and it was like 5 minutes into the shift, that's just when I decided I wasn't going to go back. But other than that, I don't want to push no blame down on me. Just don't want to push no blame. If you notice, I didn't talk that much about high school. I was closeted in high school. I moved around a bit. You know, I was a weird kid growing up, so it was kind of weird to be a weird kid and have a few friends, and then moving away, and then going from Red Oak to DeSoto to New Hampshire and back, and then back to Waxahachie finally in like the 8th grade, and then it's like, I have a choice, like, do I acknowledge these people, like, I know, hey, you know, hey, I'm back, you know, like, we're all grown up, like, hey, and I'm like, at that time I already knew I was gay, so I was like really deeply in the closet, and so I was like, no, and so I, you know, I just kept to myself, and I was really the weird kid in school. Not only that, I was like on the heavy side. I wasn't obese, but I was pretty fat, so I was like, it discouraged me to be like, you know, being closeted, being on the heavy set, baby faced. I was just like already weird. I had you know, I'd meet people that I knew way back when we was kids, and I was like, you know, we're young adults now, like, this ain't, it's not racist. I mean, I don't even know what your political views or what kind of person you are, so it's like, I felt like it was awkward. I don't know, I just couldn't force myself to interact with people. So I stayed into myself. I stayed with myself. I finished high school with a 3.0, B average. I class ranked like 290 something of 390 something, 380. So I was like, I'm either smarter or dumber than half the kids in the class. But I was a slacker. I mean, even if I didn't know anybody, school is school. Nobody's just like, dedicated, being 16, 17, 18 years old, 19 years old, dedicated to school. I mean, some people's educated, some people's like, it's hammered into their head like, this is your career choice. You're gonna work at the Taco Bell. Like, oh shit, So, at the beginning of my working career, I was always like, whoa, manufacturing, warehouse, it's hard work. I went from nothing to making some good money. I went from depending on other people to provide for me to having a choice of my own at a poverty level to a somewhat income level that I could afford maybe a one bedroom by myself if I wanted to. But now it's like I'm back to the financials of, when I went back to Live Phone the second time, I was making $14 an hour. The temps started making $10.25 an hour back in 2014, 2015, 2016. It was 2016. They's making $10.25 an hour, and I'm like, it's okay. Good for you. I said, good for you. I was making $7.50 an hour. I'm really glad that the money's really starting to show for people, because the cost of living is really high, and it's all under the different political views of where you're started at, I believe. But spousal income goes a long ways. And so that's a lot of my poverty discussions probably coming in videos about how spousal income and dependence on others and cost of livings and stuff like that. I mean, from my perspective, if you would like to know,
there is no need for concern. She is safe on this ship. You must understand that I
chili is the staple of the homeless. Chili, canned chicken, instant potatoes, bread, sodas, and a glass of milk, and you just be smooth sailing on your diet. I've had a career goal. I had careers or career entrepreneurials. I thought about when COVID started. I was like, if I ever went back to the food industry, maybe a hot dog stand. I would want to own my own business. I don't want to go work for nobody else if it's going to be in the food industry. I thought maybe a hot dog cart. I was like, you know what? Down by Waxahachie's amphitheater, weekends, holidays. Seems like a good idea, You do a cheap meal, somebody roll through, run it out to the road for me, So I thought, it was, I did my business plan. I did my cost of operations and equipment and permits and stuff like that. Came out to, I think, $3.50 for a beef dog, and that's to cover the cost of the chips and the sodas and all that, the cookies. I was gonna call it buffalo dogs, some buffalo dogs, and I was gonna have cheese dogs, but I don't want to I don't know if it'd be appropriate, but I was gonna call them Perro de Gallos, dogs of the roosters. It's chicken. And then I thought of a food truck, maybe a food truck, because I was like, you could go from business to business, you know, lunch rushes. But on each one, I was like, it's food. I really don't think there's real money there, not as an independent business to make an actual living versus like working at a fast food place with a paycheck or working at, you know, a retail store or a warehouse or something like that. I thought maybe photography. Thought photography was an interesting one, but then, you know, everybody's got a cell phone. Everybody does that on their own. Thought plants, maybe plants and photography. I was like, you know, you have some nice plants around you, contract out some plants, so you don't even own the plants, no cost. I was like, maybe contract with some of the local nurseries and just pop up sell, you know. And the photography, you know. I thought about catalogs, soliciting door to doors with a catalog and just going to all the big box stores and nurseries and making a catalog and inventorying it all for them, and going door to door and being like, do you want this planter, this plant, this soil, these rocks, the sand, this compost? No money, I wouldn't think. I think it would be a good hobby job, something if you want to do on the weekends, on your days off. Mitt Romney, you know, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, pat on the back. You know, I mean, maybe. The advertisement, because I own a cargo van. I don't own it no more, so you see that cargo van, it's not mine. Thought of advertisement, you know, on the side, put a projector on the side and just sit in a parking lot. Just sit in a parking lot and charge people, you know, slideshows on a projector on the side of the billboard. Video's about to switch over. That was a good idea. I mean, easy money. Parking lot security. Just sit in a parking lot all day, you know. Dog walker. Thought about walking dogs. I got a dog. I'm a dog father. I'm excited. Had him for 6 months. Probably seen me walking around town. He's my pride and joy. He's my child. I thought about teak shower floors. I thought about taking like some wood, the really teak wood, really nice looking wood, proxing it, and then making custom shower mats. Because I personally have a thing against shower floors, like sharing toilet seats and shower floors. I'm very like, 1,000 people has sat their asses on that toilet. 1,000 people has washed their nasty ass in that shower, and so I thought teak shower floors was, you know, pretty cool, interesting. But then I was like, one of those things that it's a consumer-based product that's only for people that's got money. Something that's going to wear out over time. Something that's going to cause inflation of the material, which is always inflated because it's always in demand. Pretty much what really turned me away from it is that you'd only be catering one type of person. You wouldn't be, you know, there's no money, and when there's no money, there's no money. I mean, you're doing it as a hobby, and I'm not a sociable person, so not that I'm not generous, but I'm not sociable. I mean, if somebody came to me, I'd be like, hey, you know, you need me to mow your yard? Yeah, I can mow your yard, yeah, you know. But I'm not gonna I'm not seeking people out to fill that need of I need to give to people. But I've had job thoughts, entrepreneurial thoughts, but nothing that would make money or really provide a world contribution that's beyond just, as people say, pampering other people. I mean, get it yourself. But you know, there might be money in it, but I don't want to support a system that's just taking advantage on people, you know. I suppose I should probably find, you know, well, you gotta watch the coming videos to understand my economics and political views of what Michael thinks is a necessary business and what's an unnecessary business and what's a privilege and what's a right, and why poverty will never be solved. I'll say this, if you made it this far in this video, I'll say this. There is a demand for products and materials, supply and demand, right? There is a demand, but the demand has fallen to the level of the poverty, and poverty ain't got no money. So since poverty ain't got no money, there ain't no demand. There's a demand, but there ain't no demand. But you know, so, and if you did give people what they wanted, they might settle for less. And how could you ever get them back into the workforce when you need anything else from them? Look out that window, maybe. It's not your time to look out that window and go crazy. You might be reminded we're slaves. Personal choice, to some degree. It's all how you look at it. Equity of the value of the money. Plateaus. So yeah, it's not that Michael's not sociable. Michael's sociable. I talk to my dog a lot, so he knows who Michael is. Michael's sociable. He's just was unsociable for a long period of time. And I don't drink, and I don't smoke, and so kind of cuts me out. And I don't do karaoke, which, I mean, y'all see me around town all the time, I'm sure you see me singing away, but I don't get on stage and sing karaoke. And my personal views these days are that I'm just looking for a spouse, and so that's as much of a social environment that I need. Got my dog, as they say, you know, at least you got your dog. Yeah. I'm not moving away. I have no goals of moving away, no plans on moving anytime soon. I'm not going to move off to the woods of, you know, neighboring counties, cities. There's no mountains to run to, those are resorts. There's no woods to run to, those are hunting lands, deer leases, ski resorts, cabins in the woods. Hey, that was another business idea. Cabin in the woods. Weekend getaways. Middle of nowhere. But I think this is gonna be it for the job histories and schooling. And I do have a college degree. I do have a college credit at the Navarro for welding. I think that's the most interesting thing, is that I got a dual credit in high school. And so Michael does have a college credit. He's got one college credit. Just one. I don't want to be a welder. Don't want to be a welder. You gotta travel. Maybe if I found my spouse. You know any welders out there, you know, duo in, you know. maybe we get long distance relationship, you know, about about the jobs. And so this is my career history. I'm just talking as if, you know, you really want to know who Michael is, and you just don't want a standard answer of who Michael is. You want to feel like community. That's why I'm making these videos. Because I know I'm not going to pop up on YouTube, but if you type in the specific name and you just was wanting to know, that's who I am. 8:44 p.m. Message it. Subscribe. It's a Dr. Pepper with a shadow of a pyramid behind it. Photography, right? Later.